Hey everyone, welcome back. There's some interesting news that happened, and definitely one that I want to talk about PlayStation. So yeah, how about we just hop right in, shall we? So first, let's talk about how Sony is not going to be offering free next-gen upgrades, and exactly what was happening around Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, to give context, initially, in a blog post about a year ago, Sony said that we'll give out the Horizon Zero Dawn upgrade for free for those that purchased the PS4 edition to the PS5. And then they backtracked on that and said, oh, you need to just buy the next gen upgrade if you want to play the PS5, and you can only buy the PS4 version if you want to play the PS4 version. And there's no way to upgrade from the PS4 to the PS5. And yeah, let's just say the internet had a ton of backlash, and now you see the company will provide Horizon Forbidden West PS4 owners a free upgrade to PS5. But they said this is going to be the only final one left. So if God of War Ragnarok comes out after this, I think it will at this point. Yeah, that one you're gonna have to pay $10 to upgrade, and so yeah. Now, I wouldn't have any issue with having to pay for a next gen upgrade because yeah, the PS5 is radically, well, not even radically, but it's like different from the PS4, right? With the adaptive triggers, the controllers, the 4K 120 hertz. I get that, that takes development costs, and so not offering a free next gen upgrade, I can totally get. But what I don't understand is when you say that, oh, we're going to give you a free next gen update, backtrack on that and say, oh, you can't get any upgrade. You have to just buy the PS5 version, even if you don't have a PS5. And then backtracking and then saying, oh, now it's a free next gen update, but nothing after this is going to be free. And it's just, that's my issue here. If they had from the beginning just said, oh, you need to pay a $10 fee for the PS4 edition to the PS5, no issues here. Like, I completely get it. And people that complain about it are kind of stupid, I think. Now, if there aren't many changes and it's just a literal, it runs a little bit better on PS5, then I can see them people being mad about having a $10 upgrade. But keep in mind that this is, going to probably be some substantial changes, just like the Ghost of Tsushima DLC. You had to pay $30 instead of, I think it was $20 if you wanted to upgrade from PS4 to PS5. I get that extra fee because there are additions and changes that, justify some costs, or at least more so. And, you know, Sony Sony just made an oopsie, and quite frankly, they could do much better than this. But I just know that with crossplay and whatnot, since they are kind of an industry leader, the only time they'll ever make changes is if people make a big fuss about it, such as this. And so, I hope that Sony maybe reconsiders the whole paying for next gen upgrades, maybe. But I think people are going to draw the line at this and say this is fine, and that's whatever. But I just think that Sony shouldn't have backtracked from the original statement, because if they said nothing about Horizon Zero or Horizon Forbidden West getting a next gen upgrade, for free, then there is nothing to complain about because they never made that promise. But it's the fact that they made a promise, broke it, and then they backtracked on it. And now they're announcing, oh, you have to pay for the next gen upgrades. It's just like, come on, guys. So you know Sony made a mistake and people called them out on it, and so yeah, that's basically the end of the story. Now, if you saw my tweet about this, I was clouding on the fact that China doesn't want young people to play online games, and basically anybody under 18 can only play 3 hours of computer games between, I think it's 9 and 10, or is it 8 or 9 or something like that, and it can only be on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And this is basically just a crackdown on basically how much playtime kids can play. And there have been other crackdowns, such as the crackdown on the 996, which is 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. for 6 days a week, which that's awful. Let's just put it that way. I thought America's working conditions were bad, but 996 is even worse. But so, yeah, China basically is putting a restriction, and yeah, people are clowning on it from the outside, but it does kind of show the power that China has, that they can force game companies to put in new regulations such as this. Now, of course, if you look at the Chinese government, they do have a ton of power anyway, so this is not something completely new, but it's concerning that now they're flexing that power. Now they've flexed it in good ways, such as in the 996 protocol, but then I also think like this, I don't think this is good. But unfortunately, there is nothing we can really do about this. At least anybody that isn't in China, and even if you are, you probably get chalked if you talked out against the Chinese government. So probably don't do that. So I mean, this isn't, like a human rights violation with like the Uyghurs, but like it's just indicative. And so I don't like this move particularly when it's used for something like this, but I guess it's fine for, 996 stuff because of the fact that it's literally abusing people. This, China's just trying to, I guess, get their kids to focus on studying and, which is not necessarily a terrible thing, but I know exactly what this is leading to. They're trying to just get more workers, and so preventing kids from being able to play as much as they want, kind of leads up to that. So, I just don't like the amount of flexing power China has on this, and yeah, it's kind of just indicative of the Chinese government altogether. So, oh well, unfortunately, there's nothing I can do. So before I begin this next segment, I'd first like to praise Dave Oshry for the tweets that he gives us. Thank you very much. And now let's get on to the segment. Tripwire Interactive's president, John Gibson, basically came out with a tweet saying, proud of the U.S. Supreme Court affirming the Texas law banning abortions for babies with a heartbeat. As an entertainer, I don't get political often, yet with some vocal peers on the other side of the issue, I felt it was important to go on the record as a pro-life game developer. And so... do I need to even say this? It's going to get really messy from this point on. So you have people like Dave Oshry, I think Jason Schreier, and a bunch of other people are just saying, yeah, you shouldn't have said that because that's, wrong and whatnot. And so we got Dave memeing on John Gibson and a lot of people saying, a lot of bad things. Now, I'm not going to exactly talk about the Texas law because there's a lot of things going on with it, particularly with the fact that, like, for example, here in this tweet, to clarify, in Texas, a man, an abusive spouse, say, can report a woman for having an abortion and be paid $10K, and a woman could get a longer sentence for aborting a baby conceived via rape than her attacker will for raping her. Yet we're still told that patriarchy doesn't exist. And basically, yeah, that's... let's just say that this law wasn't very well conceived, at the very least, and it's just awful. And so basically, at this point, it's going to just get really messy from here. And so people are calling for the boycott of Tripwire Interactive games, including like Chivalry 2, Killing Floor 2, Killing Floor 1, Red Orchestra, and Maneater, so on and so forth. And so, I mean, yeah, at this point, it's kind of interesting to see that even some presidents are going up about this issue. Particularly the whole Texas law was kind of self-contained within the political space, at least for the most part. And this is the only like really big case I've seen that some executive or somebody from the gaming industry has talked about this. And so yeah, I'm kind of interested to see what you guys think about John Gibson essentially giving his opinion about the Texas law. Personally speaking, I think the law is a little abhorrent. It's first off just very poorly worded. Even if I was pro-life, such as John Gibson, the law is so poorly worded, and there's so many flaws to it. Let's just first, I think, get that out of the way. But, I am pro-choice, and so I don't agree with John Gibson's statement, and yeah, probably the best way to, not support this is to not support Tripwire, but, you do you. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but so, yeah, basically, that's the story, really. Kind of want to know what you guys think about the whole, game developers coming out with their opinions and then the community either reacting poorly or good to the statements that are made. I kind of want to see what you guys think about it. Now, I know this isn't really something that affects the whole gaming landscape, such as like my segment about talking about opinions on certain like laws, like the Texas law that was released. But I do kind of want to talk about this issue. Now, for those that don't know, Apex Legends has a movement technique called tap strafing. Basically, while you're in midair, if you jump and also hit the W key or use the scroll wheel that acts as like a W key, and you do that, pull off that combo, basically you can essentially redirect your momentum and go almost 180 degrees, I think, perfectly. And so basically, Apex is removing it. They're saying it's inaccessible, lacks readability, counterplay, and is exacerbated by movement abilities. And I mean, they're not entirely wrong here, right? It's inaccessible because controller players really can't do it. It requires a mouse wheel in order for you to scroll the W key while also holding A or D to go whatever direction you want to. Lacks readability and counterplay. That one, kind of, if you've never seen it happen, but that's really like, if you don't see somebody do it, then yeah, it's unreadable and there's not much counterplay to it, and is exacerbated by movement abilities, and that one's also very true too. But why am I in favor of tap strafing? Well, I mean, it's kind of what makes Apex unique. For a while in the game, there was something known as bunny hop healing, and basically, you could bunny hop while healing. Made you faster instead of your very slow walking speed while you're healing, and it lets you get to cover faster while healing, and a lot of other things in that vein. And so they've removed that. I think that one's actually kind of okay, though, because it kind of messed up with the healing timings, because you could essentially kind of be out in the open, bunny hop your way into cover, and you can start healing before you even got to cover. And so, I mean, I can understand that. Tap strafing, though, that's kind of really huge, right? It allowed a lot of players to essentially move around the map quickly, in fights, be able to break the ankles of many players and outplay people. And so I just think this lowers the ceiling that Apex kind of sets, right? Titanfall, you could easily understand how to wall run, but it's really hard to master it. And in the same way as Apex, tap strafing was kind of easy to at least understand the concept of it, but being able to apply it with other movement abilities like either Pathfinder's Grapple, Octane's Jump Pad, there's a lot of interesting plays you can make with it, but now that they're removing it in patch 10.1, the ceiling essentially gets lower. And so some people are going to go on here and complain about how, oh, the aim assist is bad, why don't you remove that, or at least lower the amount of aim assist that controller players get. And then the controller players will say, well, PC essentially is just dominating, and they need a 0.6 in order to even fight PC players. And so, I mean, whatever your position is on that, I just think that if they're going to remove tap strafing, it's just going to lower the amount of ceiling and play that most other Apex players can play. And I feel like they should somehow add it to controller, then it's fine. Because then, controller players can do it, but yeah, for now, they can't do it either. So I understand why Respawn is trying to remove it, but I just think that it's going to make controller players more dominant, because 0.6 aim assist is kind of crazy if you've ever seen anybody play with a controller on Apex. But also just that it lowers the game ceiling, and so there's not going to be much more, or there's going to be less interesting plays that come out of this. And so how can I relate this to the whole industry? Well, I mean, the majority of the gaming industry is just casual players, and so you have to really play into the casual players. And in the case of tap strafing, yeah, casuals were getting absolutely shat on by the likes of It's Timmy, Asu, and Fade, and other prominent Apex players that actually used movement abilities on top of their insane aim. And so I get why Respawn's doing this. You play into the casuals, they will purchase more within your free-to-play game, and yeah, I completely understand why they're doing it. I just disagree as somebody that really does like high-level play and likes to occasionally land a single tap strafe and then shit on one of those kids in Apex. But so, yeah, I get why this is happening. I don't agree with it, but Respawn's going to do what Respawn's going to do, so they're removing tap strafing, and the trend where the games essentially lean into the casual audiences continue to be perpetrated here. So, honestly, it's whatever. I just think that, Respawn, I think you should think about reversing your decision, but no, well. So, that's the end of this week's news. There's not much, but the news that we did have was pretty major, and so yeah, I'd like to know what you guys think about it. Overall, I think it's interesting to see how, even within the gaming scene, there are people that are willing to come out with their opinions, especially for something super controversial as that. So I think that's interesting. But on top of that, the whole Sony, backtracking on their initial promise and then backtracking on the backtrack, it's not a good image, and I definitely think that Sony's going to try to pull that stuff again, because they have in the past, so it's not like this is just a one-time oopsie. It's happened before, and so, I think that, Sony shouldn't do that, but they're probably going to do it again. Sometime either really soon or maybe way later. If it's way later, though, then it might just be an oopsie then. But so, it's kind of interesting to see what's happening within the gaming scene right now, and so I hope there's less controversial things to talk about, and even if there are, maybe stuff like the Sony thing where, they make a promise and then they backtrack on it. Come on, you guys, don't do that. But so, anyway, hopefully I'll see y'all next week if I'm not immediately killed off by either John Gibson and or the Sony executives. So, I'll see you next time when I do see you next week. Or maybe earlier, depending on if something really big happens in the week. Who knows?